He started as a beat cop 30 years ago. Now he's the director of the Miami-Dade Police Department. But Freddy Ramirez hopes to become the first county sheriff in decades. He launched his campaign this week, and I had the chance to sit down with him. Here's our conversation. Director Ramirez, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So as director of the Miami-Dade Police Force, and also you're the chief of emergency management and response, you have made a big announcement, but in addition to that, it's not surprising, you want to run for sheriff.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Why?
Because this is my community, this is my law enforcement family, and I'm very proud of all the work that's been done by the Miami-Dade Police Department, the relationships that have been built over the years, and I want to make sure that those relationships continue and continue to grow moving forward.
So this position now is an elected position. You have to run for sheriff, and it's also a partisan position, and you're running as a Democrat. Why did you make that decision?
Personally, I wish it wasn't a partisan position because leading the 6th largest police department in the country, largest in the southeastern United States, you can't lean from one ideology or another. You got to call it as you see it. You're representing everyone in the community. But unfortunately, that's the way it was designed. So I chose the party that I felt better connects the community. Originally, I was an independent. I had transferred from Republican to independent because I really didn't like the polarization of politics, because when that gets caught up into policing, it causes distrust. But as I said earlier, you have to serve everyone. So going into the Democratic Party, I'm in a Democratic administration right now that really has focused a lot into law enforcement, has funded us a lot, and has helped bridge communication and trust with our community. Our law enforcement community is very much appreciated from the top down, and that's why you don't see the issues that you see around the country. Look at all the discord that's going on here in Miami-Dade County, including all of our municipal partners. We're in a very special place, and we have to preserve that. I think we're the shining example to the country of what public safety and community trust looks like.
But nonetheless, this is a partisan position right now. Are you ready for what that entails?
I'm ready. I'm a police officer, ma'am. I'm ready for anything that comes my way. Like I tell people, don't focus on the letter after my last name. I'm Freddy. I'm the same Freddy that's been here for 30 years, that's grown in this department. I'm the Freddy that you know, that everybody knows in this community, and nothing's going to change.
You talked about your 30 years. You started as an officer, and now you've been leading the force for 3 years, and you really moved up the ranks. So do you believe that that experience in this community is what will help you succeed in this position?
Ma'am, I've done every rank in this police department, from the civil, the tested ones to the appointed position. And in each rank that I was in, I learned from those around me. I was mentored by some of the best people. I got to see the good, the bad, the ugly, learn from our history of our department, the good history, the bad history, and most of all, listening to our community.
So let's talk about some of the successes of the department. And we're talking about reduction of crime rate, a reduction of gun violence in the county. What do you attribute those successes to?
Just all the innovations that have been put in, the connections with the community trust, because you cannot clear cases or have people come forward to identify violent individuals in the community if they don't feel safe or have trust in the public safety service of Miami-Dade County. That's why even in the city of Miami, you see the great clearance rates that they have. Us as well, the collaborative work through our Community Shield, Community Guardian, where we got together when we saw the spike in gun violence, and we attacked it right away in those areas that was causing. Plus, we overlaid it with resources to the community, mentoring, getting out of our police cars, talking with the community and talking with each other as law enforcement agency. Those are the relationships. There are no barriers where it's us against them. No, we're one purpose: to keep our community safe. The homicide task force, our victim advocates, we're up to like 27 victim advocates right now that were essential, especially during the tragedy of Surfside, where while we're dealing with this terrible national tragedy in our backyard, we're soothing those families. Our bond with the religious community will always step up and help us. I mean, every social program in Miami-Dade County, you will see a Miami-Dade police patch in some form or another involved, tethered into it, where typically you wouldn't see that because they wouldn't want police around them. That's how proud I am of the men and women of this police department, who are young, by the way. They're so committed to the neighborhoods, through the community as a whole, and our fellow police departments as well.
You talked about Surfside, so let's talk about some of the challenges that you've had to face as leader of this department and also of response and emergency management. You talked about Surfside, also the FIU bridge collapse, and of course the pandemic. Who could forget about the pandemic? What are some of the lessons learned by you when you're leading this department and having to go through some of those challenging times?
The biggest lesson that I learned, and I go back to talking about the community and trust, when the pandemic happened here, I just became director. I mean, it was a very scary time, but this community coalesced together. The businesses came and donated masks. We worked through some of the hardest decisions together, and we came out stronger on the other side. When we had the George Floyd protests, if you saw here, it didn't last long here because you know what? Community partners were calling me. You know, we don't want this in our streets. How can we help? How can we make this safe? You know, Circle of Brotherhood, organizations like that, those are contacts that weren't made at that moment of tragedy. No, these are relationships that have been built for a while. And Shirley Plankton of the Community Relation Board, all these connections help my first responders be able to be out there to do their job and know that they're trusted or they're believed in, that they're not looked at as an occupying force. You go to Surfside, one of the worst tragedies. What did we rely on? Our community, our religious community. You know, because you had grieving families coming from everywhere. We had 98 lost souls and a whole lot of family members very upset and very hurt. And we got through those trying times together as one. I mean, if you look at that, there's no finger pointing. It's moving forward. We're moving through this terrible tragedy. Everybody puts their ego in the back pocket, and we know what we got to do. Mayor Cava led that. Awesome. The state, the governor came down, the president, everybody came down together as one here.
You have made an effort in those community relations between police and the community, and you believe that that is a big part, is what has helped this community when we have gone through those trying times? Absolutely.
And whenever something controversial comes up and those community leaders call me, I pick up the phone and I tell them what I got, and we talk it through, and I explain my position or explain what I'm going to do.
Police reforms. You mentioned the George Floyd protests, and there have been some police reforms that have been implemented within the department, from banning chokeholds to more police training, and actually some of the body camera deployment, one of the largest in the whole country. Are you satisfied with how that has gone, and do you believe there should be more police reforms?
I'm very satisfied where we're at right now. I think that the way our officers are performing on the street is magnificent. Let's look, right now we just put out a crisis intervention team to deal with people suffering from mental health. Those are police officers doing that on their own, that decided to get into that realm to help vulnerable people. I mean, I think we've already transcended of forcing an ideology or a process down. Our officers want to have that connection with the community. They don't want to be like Chicago or other places. I hate to use those things, but that's what you see in the news. We don't want to be like that. We want that from the government all the way down to the person on the street. They see a police car, they see a fire truck, they see someone from public safety. They're not afraid to walk up and talk to them and ask for help. If you're here legally or not, or whoever you are, it doesn't matter. Public safety is a human responsibility, and that's what we're here to do.
You are so passionate about this. I asked you at the beginning of this interview if you were ready. I will ask you again because it seems like you are.
I'm a dad. I'm a grandfather. I'm ready. I sacrifice myself each and every day for my family and for my community, and especially for my officers. That's why I won't tolerate anybody putting a finger on one of my officers.
Director Ramirez, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am.